Good morning, guys. Welcome to the NC Barndo Build channel. And this morning, I'm coming to you from inside our camper here. You can see it is fall with all of the pretty colors out behind me. And I thought today would be a good day to go over the specs on our build and the full cost breakdown on what we spent to build our two-car garage. Now, if you've been following along on the build, a lot of these breakdown numbers will probably make sense to you because you've seen what we did during each phase of the build. If you haven't done so, I highly encourage you to subscribe, and you can go back and watch some of these videos and make these numbers will probably make a little more sense to you once you see where we came up with these numbers. But if not, this will kind of give you an idea of what it cost us to build our garage. First up, let's go over some of the specs. The building is 24 wide, 36 feet long, and the eave walls are 10 foot high with a 612 roof pitch. We did all steel siding, steel roof, Versetta stone wainscoting, and we finished the back half, which ended up being a 24 by 18 area, is kind of like a man cave slash area. The front half, the front 18 feet, is more of a garage slash shop area. So if you followed along on the videos, you know that I did most of the work myself with the exception of the concrete foundation and the steel roofing. Otherwise, everything else was DIY. Build time approximately from us obtaining the zoning permit from the county until we closed out the last permit, which gave us the occupancy status, was approximately 16 months. We had a little bit of delay in there with materials, so that time could be shortened if you did a little better planning than what I did and had your supplies up and ready to go. Total cost, spoiler alert, we spent $72,051.91 on the build, and we're going to break that down so you know where each phase of the build, where we spent the money: framing, electrical, plumbing, finishing the exterior, finishing the interior. We're going to break that all down for you, which, if you do the math, came up to $83.39 per square foot, which is a little bit more than what I had anticipated, but I think in the end we ended up with a much better product. We splurged in some areas, and I'll go over those as we cover each section of the build. Foundation costs. So this is one of the areas where we had both the house foundation and the garage foundation poured at the same time, and you can see that here in this picture. But the contractors didn't break them down separately, so I don't know exactly what was spent on the house and exactly what was charged for the supplies and labor on the garage. So what I did, just to give us an approximation here, was divided the total cost into thirds, and 1/3 I allocated towards the garage and 2/3 I allocated towards the house. That total cost came up to $17,045.94. Now that includes both materials and labor to get the foundation from nothing to completely finished, ready to build on. The next phase of the build was framing, putting the lumber up, the dimensional lumber, and we broke this down into several different areas where we spent money. And this doesn't include, like for this category, is not just the lumber, but we also included nails and screws and brackets and hardware into these prices as well. I had a lot of receipts to count up, and it took me a bit to separate everything out and get it categorized as best I could. So these are just approximate numbers here, but they're pretty close. Lumber, we spent $1,800, almost $1,900. The trusses was a complete package on those, in that we ordered them directly from the lumber yard who delivered them. They contracted through another supplier, so the trusses were completely engineered and built. All we had to do was install them. The post, we bought those from a supplier up in West Virginia. Those were 3-ply 2x6 posts. The brackets were drill set sturdy wall brackets. The sidewalls on the building were 9 foot on center. The back wall was 8 foot on center for the posts, and then the front wall, if you can see there in the video, we just had one post there in the middle in between the garage doors. Ceiling joists, 2x4 ceiling joists, and the brackets, the hangers and nails, $779.50. And then sheathing, this includes both the roof deck, which we used 5/8 roof deck OSB and 7/16 sidewall OSB, came up to $2752.57. And if you do the math on that, that gives us a grand total for the framing of just under $10,000. Up next is doors and windows. We had 2 windows on the north side of the building. These windows match the house, so this is one area where if you didn't want to go with an upgraded window, since it's going to be in a garage, if you're not heating and cooling it, you can save a little money here. But we spent $863 on 2 windows. These were Pella vinyl windows, new construction windows with the grids in the top pane. They were single hung. Walk-through doors, we had 2 of them, one on the south side of the building, and then we also have a walk-through door on the inside where the wall separates the living quarters / man cave versus the shop area. These were fiberglass Reeb doors, and we spent $2,300 on those. And finally, the 2 overhead garage doors, which were 8x9s, insulated, $3,169.43. That does not include garage door openers. We opted for the manual latches on the side rails. For now, we'll go back in later and put some overhead garage door openers in at a later time. So doors and windows total cost was $6,300, almost $6,400. After framing and sheathing was completed, we moved on to the exterior finishes, and this is where things get a little expensive. And if you want to save some money on your post frame, you can definitely do so here. So costs can be all over the board with this, but this is what we spent. So for the Versetta stone, we did a 3-foot wainscoting all the way around the building. We ended up just under $7,000 for the Versetta stone. We also did a capstone on the top side of that wainscoting, which I think looks really nice. The steel roof, just for materials, $36.98, and then the labor to put the steel roof on, we spent $28.50 on that. If you watch the videos and you remember, we had a crew come out and do the roof, and it was done in one day, which was really nice. So the OSB, I think we got 1 day of rain on it, light rain. Otherwise, the OSB on the building never got wet, which was really nice. Wall steel, again, here is a little expensive. We went with a 26 gauge board and batten hidden fastener system. We spent $56, $36, $33 on that. The soffit and fascia steel, again, was from a supplier up in West Virginia. We had an issue finding perforated soffit panels for our ventilation, so we ended up going to West Virginia to get those. $12.43 for a total on the exterior finishes of $20,428.91. Definitely an area where you can go a little cheaper if budget is a concern for you. HVAC, so this includes both the Mr. Cool mini split that we installed ourselves and the insulation both in the ceiling and the side walls. We're looking at a total for the cellulose of $363.16, which is probably about the cheapest project that we did on the building, and it was super easy to do. You can go back and watch that video, but that's a great DIY project and the cellulose is not itchy, so it's very nice to use. Spray foam, $2,500. This was contracted through, again, another company, an outside firm. $2,500 was the minimum that they would do on a job because the building was small, and we did I think 4 to 5 inches of spray foam on it. We didn't hit the minimum square footage for them, so we got the minimum charge of $2,500. Well worth it. The building heats and cools, very nice. Very happy with both the spray foam in the walls and the cellulose insulation in the ceiling. The mini split itself, both for the unit, we did a line set cover kit, was $2,282.18. Now what you don't see in this is the electrical components. Not going to be included with your Mr. Cool mini split. If you decide to go that route, you're going to have a disconnect, wiring, and all that good stuff. That is included in the electrical portion of this presentation. So total HVAC, if you do the math, $51.45. Not too bad for heating and cooling this building. I was pretty happy with that. The electrical, again, was a complete DIY project. I did this all myself. I'm not licensed in any of these areas. Just a guy that studies, reads up on code, and tries to do things the right way. I did have a certified electrician come in and look at this after we were done. He was happy. I was happy. We called for the inspection after that, and we passed that on the first go. So very happy with the electrical. Expensive. Copper wire is expensive right now. All the electrical components are expensive, and some things are kind of hard to find. So we spent a little bit more than what I thought. This also includes the price for the temporary power pole. If you watch the videos during the construction process, we had a temporary power pole that we installed so we could get saw power and run our tools, charge our batteries while we were constructing the building. And then once we had the permitting to power up the building, the temporary power pole came down. Total for that was $25.80. Plumbing, now this, you're probably going to laugh at this number, but we don't have any interior plumbing per se in the building, because originally I thought it was just going to be a garage and we park our cars in there. But we ended up putting the living quarters in the back, and I really wish we would have done plumbing on the underside of the slab. So I highly encourage you, even if you don't think you're going to do plumbing in your building, just go ahead and stub in some sleeves so you can put plumbing in later. I wish I would have done it. This is probably my biggest regret on the build. But nonetheless, we did have county water at the road. I had some supplies left over from previous remodeling jobs, but we did have to purchase a few things to get the plumbing, to get some water to the property. So we spent $126 on that. Basically the connections and some PEX water line is all we did there. Interior finishes, again, this is where you can save some money if you want. You can blow the budget up if you want. We decided to drywall the entire inside of the building, and then with the living quarters in the back, we had 2 interior walls that we had to put sheetrock on. So not anything crazy. We also put in some kitchen cabinets. If you've noticed in the other videos, we did a little kitchen cabinet area and did some trim work on the inside just to kind of make the living quarters a little nicer, pleasing to the eye. We spent $1,800 on that, which is not awful. This does not include the appliances that we have on the inside. We did purchase a mini fridge, a deep freezer that is on the inside. Those are not included in the build. Drywall cost, we did 1/2-inch drywall on the walls, 5/8 on the ceiling, $1,200 for that. Flooring was purchased from Costco. It is just a laminate floor. We spent $887.88 for that, and actually turned some of that too. We had a couple extra boxes left over, so the flooring total cost was a little bit less than that. Couldn't find the return credit receipt, so I just put the whole cost in there for a total interior finishing cost $44.04. Not too shabby there. Moving back outside the building, we obviously had to do some landscaping. Now, this doesn't include the grading, the site grading that we did earlier. I have 2 other cost breakdown videos in this build series, both for the permits and lot prep, and I did a second one as well. So those costs were included in that original $17,000 at the beginning. So this is just planting grass, getting the straw down, some fertilizer, some lime that we put on the yard to get the grass going. And this is a pretty small amount here, but we just spent $900, just under $1,000 to get the landscaping to where it is now. Equipment rental. So we rented a couple pieces of equipment. The picture that you see here is the lift or the hoist that we used to set the trusses. That was $120 a day, and since we rented it on a weekend, we got Sunday for free. So we set trusses Saturday, Sunday, returned it first thing Monday morning, and that was $120. If you follow along on the videos, you also know that we rented a trencher to trench in power lines, to trench in the water line. And then we had a mini excavator as well, and I rented a core drill, which I did not video. I wish I would have, for you guys, to fix a foundation issue that the contractor missed. That's all included in this $662.38. That's total equipment rental. All right. Finally, here we're at tools and equipment. Now, this again, you can count this in a build. You don't have to. People have different tools, start out with different things. I had to buy a significant amount of tooling and equipment to do the build. There's some specialized stuff that I didn't have, and the picture that you see here, the tractor is not included in that. We had to buy that for some land clearing and for some forestry work that we're going to be doing on the property. We have 29 acres here, and we've put that in the forestry program. So we need to get that back to follow the program, and to get our tax rebate, we need to follow the instructions in that program, and that required some equipment. So so that is not included in this total price, but I did have to buy some landscaping equipment. We bought a landscaping rake and a post hole digger, and then some other tooling, a table saw, a planer, to do the woodworking. I had some tooling that was old that needed to be replaced, and we decided to go wireless on some things. So just total equipment and tools cost for us was just under $4,500. Again, I've included that in our build number. You don't have to, but this is what we decided to do. So it's included in the final price. And that wraps up our build in a nutshell. So I think this will give you a good idea, a starting point, at least square footage wise, of what it's going to cost to build a post frame home. Nothing extremely fancy, but something that is a little bit, I think, in my opinion, pleasing to the eye, both on the exterior and interior side. So I hope this helps. If you have any comments or questions, or things that maybe I had missed or that you would like to see, or a little bit curious as to maybe what exactly we purchased for each subcategory here, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to do my best to get you guys those answers. But again, this is just what we spent, so it gives you an estimate of what you can get for the kind of money that we spent. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video.